Hello, I'm Neil Smith, and I'm delighted to introduce Fiona Cowney to our education series. This is one of 3 talks in the education webinar series. So I'll introduce Fiona to you first before she gives her talk. Dr. Fiona Cowney is an associate professor at Bournemouth University, working in the Faculty of Media and Communication. Fiona is active in progressing the sustainability agenda within the university, is Deputy Chair of the Sustainability Committee, and is part of the broader sustainability team awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Enriching Society Award in 2022. Fiona has a particular interest in how collaboration can play a part in progressing the sustainability agenda within higher education. She is passionate about helping her students learn about sustainability and uses the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to help her do so. So welcome to Fiona, and we hope you enjoy her talk.
Great, lovely. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this conversation. It's just wonderful to hear Sarah and Helen's work with younger people. I was fascinated by that. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing at the university, so a slightly different age group. In particular, thinking about the kind of climate action agenda and how we are working to try to bring climate action to kind of the heart of what we're doing at the university. So I kind of starting by thinking, on the one hand, in higher education, we're dealing with guidance that we get nationally from the QAA, who are basically in control of what we do in higher education. So there's guidance that we work with, Education for Sustainable Development guidance, but much more importantly, what we're trying to do is to harness the passion that there's no doubt some of our colleagues have, and it's kind of pulling those two things together, the kind of formal ways of doing it with the kind of passions that academics feel for climate crisis. So I just wanted to kind of share some really good news back to the SDGs, and we've literally, this is our first day of being able to share this, that we are doing so well at Bournemouth University. I'm really proud of what we've achieved. All universities are basically ranked about how well they perform against the SDGs, and this is a global ranking, so it's not just universities in the UK. We are the 42nd best university in the world, and we're joint 8th in the UK. So we are very proud about what we've done there. And even more impressively, in my view, for SDGs 12 and 8, responsible production and consumption and decent work and economic growth, we're right up there. We're the 4th best university in the world. I mean, this is amazing. And, there's such expertise that's being developed there. And of course, some of this is about how we're practicing as an organisation. And we are 13th globally for climate action. So we're doing really well on some of these key important SDGs. And in particular, I wanted to talk to you about the kind of climate action one. That's just a sense, by the way, an overview of how we're doing across all those SDGs. I mean, the only thing I want to say to you there is that you can see we're doing better with some than we are with the others. You can see the further out to the edge of the circle we are, the better we're doing, basically. So something like that, SDG 12 in the kind of southwest, so to speak, you can see how well we're doing. Whereas, as you can see, that SDG 9, all about industry, innovation and infrastructure, we're not doing very well at all. So it's just quite interesting to see how an organisation which is switched on to sustainability and the SDGs still has this real variation. Okay. So what we've tried to do in the last year is say, okay, where are we with our curriculum? How well are we covering the SDGs? So we went through an exercise where we asked our academics to map their unit against the SDGs. And what we're trying to do at the university essentially is meet the goal that every single one of our courses aligns with at least one SDG. Now, I think that is a very easy target for us to achieve, but that is our kind of current strategic target. So in doing this, what we're trying to do is, on the one hand, audit how we're doing, how many of these SDGs are we covering and where. But we're also, of course, trying to start to educate our academics about what the SDGs mean, because some of our academics are really knowledgeable and others have barely heard of them. Just as Sarah said, it's surprising sometimes you go into an environment where you think people will understand the SDGs and they don't. Okay, so this is what we've done. And the great news is we're making really good progress on these SDGs. So we are covering the SDGs, but we're not doing very well on the climate crisis. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And there's massive variability across the institution. So I don't need you to kind of look at this in any detail other than to say those blue columns, they are basically whether the departments are covering the SDGs. And all you need to see is that some of them are really good. They're right up to 100. Some of them are really not very good. So what I'm saying is that at the moment, across the university, in many areas now our students are exposed to the one or more SDGs, but we do have pockets where that isn't the case. Okay. So what I wanted to just move on to for the second part of this was thinking about kind of the climate crisis in particular, because obviously I know you're interested in that. So we've got a climate and ecological crisis action plan at the university, which my colleagues Lois and Eleanor have developed with, you know, the support of academics and others. And we've got this action in there. And what we're saying is we want every student who comes to Bournemouth University to be exposed to the climate and ecological crisis in each year of their study. So if they're a master's student, that'd be once, you know, just during that year. If they were an undergraduate student, we're hoping that every year that they're at Bournemouth, they will be exposed to the climate and ecological crisis. Okay, so when we think about what that means, I'm kind of here now focusing down onto the SDG 13 climate action. So we're in this odd situation at Bournemouth University. On the one hand, we're doing great things. So we, of course, committed to net zero greenhouse gas by 2030, like the council. We are, or certainly were, because we're still working this out, the second best university in the UK on this SDG climate action. We're doing really, really well. And we know that I've just said to you that globally we're number 13 across institutions. We've been awarded prizes nationally for the work that we've done. But all that good stuff that's going on as an institution is not yet reflected in our education. And that's the kind of the dilemma, is how do we take all the great stuff we're doing as an institution and energize our curriculum so that we can be confident that our students are getting an experience where they are thinking about and working alongside the climate and ecological crisis. So if you look back at this, this is that set of figures. The figure that the bar we're looking at here now is the green bar. Now the green bar is the proportion of the courses that have the climate and ecological crisis in every year of the study. That's measured against what we're trying to achieve. And basically you can see that there is real deficit there. There's a lot of work to be done, okay? So whereas on the SDGs, big tick, we're doing well generally. With the climate crisis, we're nowhere near there yet. So that's something we're trying to work on, trying to really encourage academics to start thinking about how they can embed that. And so I just wanted to just talk you briefly through a climate action workshop that we've developed. What we're trying to do is to provide support to academics. We're offering this in the faculties. We're embedding it in our training programme for new academics. And when new courses are validated or confirmed of being appropriate, we are making sure that the people who are developing those, again, get the opportunity to take this course. So what do? Well, we're talking about what the climate and ecological crisis is, why we might care about it, and we focus down on the climate action SDG. Then we go broad and we look at the United Nations, UNESCO's guidelines of how educators might speak to the climate crisis within their teaching. They're really, really useful if any of you want to use them. I think they're great, they're really good. And then obviously, as in any workshop, we're kind of sharing ideas about how we might best engage with climate action in the units that we deliver. So as an example, the whole thing about the caring, I don't know whether you've seen this clip from COP. I mean, this wonderful talk about why, why climate matters. And yeah, I use this for the media academics because it's all about communication. It's all about the power of communication. So we kind of share that to kind of hopefully get people to care. Then we look at the goal, well, you're familiar with the goal, and remind them that actually improving education is part of the goal. So we look at that, and then we draw from other successes in other institutions. So the University of Manchester last year was the best performing university across the globe on sustainability. So we drew from their experiences and kind of use those to encourage our academics to think that they might also commit to trying to bring climate crisis into their teaching. We provide examples of where we're doing it. So this is a unit that I deliver. And so we've talked about, okay, the fact that in this unit, we talk about carbon disclosure, we talk about carbon offsetting, we talk about greenwashing, and we give students the opportunity to kind of tailor their assessment around SDG 13. So there's one example. There was another example, very different kind of unit, all about politics, and again, how climate has been embedded there, and a master's unit about climate grief and rage. So really what we're trying to do is share different examples of how climate can be integrated into quite different units in very different ways, but in a manner that is going to be helpful. And then we go, so we've talked a bit about the climate crisis, what it is, why it matters. Here's some examples of how we've done it. And then what we do is we think about the climate and ecological crisis, link it to the SDGs, and then we draw from these UNESCO learning outcomes, which I've mentioned a minute ago. So you don't need to, it doesn't matter for you to look at all those things, but the UNESCO guidance gives all these different learning outcomes that relate to climate action. So we present those to the academics, build up a Padlet so that we've got obviously those learning outcomes at the top, and then try and get people to kind of populate that with their unit, how they're doing it, so that people can kind of, we can build, I suppose, a material that shows how people have done it. So that's how we've tried to do that. By the way, we also importantly want to emphasize it's not all about climate action, it's also about the intersectionality, the climate justice agenda, just as you spoke about earlier. So we're kind of starting with climate action as the key focus and then kind of building out really. And then now what we're going to do is we're asking each programme to identify where climate action is going to be covered, make sure our validations, that's our confirmation process, make sure that the panels who kind of manage that actually check that it's happening. And we believe that our current position, which is 38% of courses covering climate action, that we can move that substantially by the end of the next academic year. And finally, we are offering and promoting carbon literacy training for both staff and students, so that those members of staff who want to understand more about carbon literacy, they can engage in that. I did that training, it was really good, it was great. So my key reflections are, academics can feel really nervous about their expertise of being able to engage with the sustainability agenda. They worry whether they know enough to be able to deliver education at a university level in something that they feel that isn't their area of expertise. We found that the academics, people like myself and Steve, who's here on this call, working with our professional services staff has been really powerful, and I think is one of the reasons why we've done so well on those Times higher that impact ranking. We would say that institutional leadership, it's critical that echoes the importance of embedding sustainability. Sometimes that's there, sometimes it's less there. Passion will get you somewhere, but it needs, as you all know, the energy and commitment to keep on going. And just as I think both Sarah and Helen said, action is everything. We're doing our best to get to encourage people to get involved, but ultimately it's about the doing, and then the students engaging with it and being able to take their learning out into the workplace. That's it. I hope that was of some interest. I mean, it's certainly different to Helen and Sarah, so I hope that was complimentary for you.
Thank you, Fiona, for your excellent talk showing how Bournemouth University is embedding sustainability into the curriculum so that all graduates have an understanding of the issues facing us, an appreciation of what they can do themselves to make a positive difference for our world. If you enjoyed Fiona's talk, then why not watch the other two speakers in this education webinar series? You can find the links to their talks below. You can also find out more about Zero Carbon Dorset, our 2030 report, and the climate and ecological crises on our website and YouTube channel. The links are again shown below. You can also sign up to join us on our journey to help Dorset become a happier and healthier place to live for all. Please tell your friends and colleagues about the work of Zero Carbon Dorset and point them to our website and YouTube channel. Thank you again for watching.